guess the best way to start this is to let everybody know that Andrew and I have been friends since we were probably around 5 or 6 years old. And when we moved to Emerson Road, he lived about a quarter of a mile up the street from me. So we spent a lot of time at each other's houses. So I had a lot of time and experience around Miss Norman when I was really young, to the point of when 5th grade came around, I remember being so excited if I could get her as my teacher. And I remember asking her all the time, am I going to be in your class? Am I going to be in your class? She kept saying, oh, I don't know, we'll have to see. And I just remember the day that we found out that she was going to be my teacher, how happy I was and excited, which is strange because the other 5th grade teacher, Mr. Miller, everybody loved him and thought he was great, but I was adamant that I had to have her as my teacher. And when I got her, it was amazing. I was so happy. And it definitely did not disappoint. She was great. Didn't treat me any differently, obviously, than other kids, but I remember, I don't know how I knew this, but I knew that she was a really good artist. I don't know if she considered herself an artist, but to me, she was an artist. Like, she could draw really well. So at that time in my life, I was really getting into drawing. And I remember we have free time in class, I would draw, pictures. And then I would be so excited to go show her and see what she would say about them. She had taken Andrew and I to Columbus to see some relatives, and she had done this multiple times, but we were down there one time and we had to been, 13 or 14, and we were bored and we were throwing darts, and we decided that darts would be way more fun if we were throwing at something instead of just the numbers. So randomly we looked down and there was a Time magazine sitting there, and it happened to have President Ronald Reagan's picture on it. I remember taking it upstairs to Miss Norman and asking her if she could draw a picture of him on a piece of paper for us. And she kind of asked us why, and we're like, well, we were gonna throw darts at it. And she kind of laughed, and she's like, okay. And I remember sitting there watching her draw this picture and then being just amazed how quickly she drew it. And it, to me, at that age, I have no idea what it really looked like, but at that age, I'm like, it was the best thing I've ever seen. And I was like, well, so much for my drawing skills, because that is amazing. So she finished this picture in 5 minutes. She goes, here you guys go. And we took it down and threw darts at Ronald Reagan's head for an hour or so. But anyway, I had nothing but great memories of her over the however many years I knew her. She was great, and I enjoyed all my time I spent around her. And to this day, probably, if not my favorite teacher, top 2 teachers I had in my whole life. So she'll be missed.
Hi, my name is Sharon Shave Turchin, and for as long as I can remember, Sandy was sort of a staple in my life growing up. She lived up the road, she taught at the school, and I think she was at every sporting event I ever attended or played in. Whether she was working the concession stand or taking tickets, or even way back just a fan when Drew and my brother were always on the same Little League team. I absolutely loved having her as a teacher. She was hilarious and sarcastic, which resonated with me. Even in 5th grade, I thought she was fun to have in class. My favorite memory, as is probably a lot of people's favorite memory, was the 5th and 6th grade track meet. Miss Norman had told me that they had not won the track meet since my brother was in 5th grade, and that the pressure was on. So I may have peaked in 5th grade, but I did very well at the track meet, and she was so supportive and so competitive, which I loved. And we dubbed ourselves the Stormin' Normans that year and made a sign. And lo and behold, we were successful, and we brought the trophy home again from the 5th and 6th grade track meet that year. I appreciated her support all of the way through high school. I remember her being at games and always just showing interest. I was moved most recently when she was having lunch with my mom and pulled out an article from my senior year of basketball. I don't remember having ever seen it. I'm sure I had, but she had cut it out and kept it all these years and gave it to my mom to give to me. And I just thought that was so special. Also, in my own classroom now, I have a sign that Sandy had either in her house or in her classroom, I'm not sure, but it is now in my classroom as well, and has been there the last couple years since she gave it, since she passed it on to me. So her commitment to the Apple Creek community is inspiring, and though I don't live there now, it is always home, and she will be missed. She did a lot for that community, and I know everybody's grateful.
Hi, it's Laurier Likens. I'm just calling to let Sandy's family know that I We'll miss her greatly. Back in 1983, I started teaching at Apple Creek Elementary with her and many other wonderful people, and she was absolutely a godsend. She kept me sane, helped me learn the ropes in education, and we have been friends for over 40 some years. She was just wonderful. When our son Kyle was born, she was the first one at our house, and she held him. And, it's just wonderful memories. I remember how artistic she is, and she was, and all the art projects she liked to do. Her handwriting, perfect in all capitals. So I am going to miss her greatly. I wish I could be there. We're in Arizona, out at Goodyear, going to the Cleveland Guardian, we still call them the Indians games, and I know she would enjoy that too. So just letting everyone know that what a dear, dear friend she was to me, and I'm going to miss her greatly, but I know that she's watching and sending love, and one day I will grab her and give her the biggest hug forever. So hugs to all of you, Andrew and the boys and your whole family. And it was a blessing, such a blessing to know your mom, and I loved her dearly.
I am Drew Norman, her son, and I want to share the story of how we found my brother Carlton. Of course, I was 14 years old, and my mom pulled me aside, and she said, "I got something to tell you." Mom gets this really serious look on her face, and she tells me, back in 1966, on September 17th, they had a baby boy, and they named him Michael. But they had no choice but to put him up for adoption. It's like, so what do we do? How do we find him? Was kind of our question. We were both kind of asking ourselves, how do we, where do we go from here? We did the traditional things, going to any kind of public records. We basically hit a dead end there. 2019. My mom and I are watching an Ancestry commercial, and we see there's a special to submit your DNA for $60 or whatever it was. So we said, what the hell? We'll do that. We'll submit the DNA. I think it was April that we submitted it. I did a little prayer. I stuck it in the mailbox, and then 30 days later, I get this email from Ancestry, and it's like a very close match to my own DNA. And so I opened the email, found who the name is, and it said Carlton Craig, and I'm like, Carlton Craig? Who is it? It's just like it's a cool name, it's like, but we were calling him Michael for all these years, because that's what mom and dad had named him. We then hook up and do a FaceTime, and it was like Memorial Day, and then we basically kept in touch ever since. Carlton suggested he wants to meet his mother. He wants to meet her in Apple Creek. So we planned a family reunion. I got with all the relatives. It was September 19th, 2019, that we had the first meeting between the two families. So we went out to dinner, met his sister, Joellen, his mother, Joanne, Grandma Joe, they call her. I believe the two nieces, Haley and Erica, was there along with his ex-wife, Kai, was there. And then we got to meet Sarah and Michael, his son. So Sarah is his wife. She's from China, and Michael. So they all live in Saratoga, California currently, and he is just starting a new job with Whoop. So he is a VP. So congratulations, brother. That's amazing. You've worked your tail off. After this excitement, I obviously told my mom this, and she went and told the whole neighborhood. So everybody in Apple Creek knew about my brother. She called Gail, who was her best friend, always her best friend and co-worker for many years, probably since the mid-'70s. They worked together. So after kind of the dust settled, I went ahead and contacted Channel 10 TV, and they accepted the story, and they actually did an interview with me in New Albany, when we lived in New Albany at the time. Yeah, I'm just so grateful that God had given Mom that new life to find her son. It's kind of this one big milestone that made happen. So praise to God for making it